All right. How you feeling, baby? You feeling good?
Yeah, doing well. Panthers got the win in Madison Square Garden last night. They're up 3-2. And yeah, now Dolphins mini camp next week, and then we get a nice little break before we really get going in training camp. And the Dolphins gave us some news to talk about yesterday morning.
That's right. And by the way, again, because tomorrow starts June 1st, it is hurricane
Yeah.
season, and the ultimate pass rushers are Welt Rheaume. So I just want to remind you guys, save this number. I hope we don't get hit by a storm. But if it happens, or maybe we have some rain and you get water damage, because that could happen too. It may not be a hurricane, but you know how these storms come in and they drop a ton of rain and you get water damage before you call the insurance. In fact, never call the insurance company. You call Welt Rheaume and they will handle it. They have their own adjusters and they will call the insurance company for you. So hurricane season starts tomorrow, 954-966-4646. Be prepared for hurricane season with Welt and Rheaume. All right, you were on deck there listening to me because I know that it's become a bit of a subject now because of the Waddle contract. You start wondering what the future is for the Dolphins for next year, and I keep telling people that they're going to move on from Tyreek. I know Florio's talking about, the contract isn't aging and all that bullshit. Brother, the Dolphins don't give a shit about that. If you, again, go with track record. Do the Dolphins waver, or do they fold with people with money and all that stuff, or do they take a hard line stance pretty much overall, no matter who you are? Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tyreek's never said he wanted more money, but after the last year and a half you've had, I don't think you have anywhere to go say I want more money. So this is more media shit that's created. I think if you're Tyreek, you need to be a really good soldier over the next year, because you may not. I know you're not going to be here, but you need to look at yourself and say, well, if I'm not here, I'm playing for 30 other teams. I got to make sure that I'm attractive to 30 other teams next offseason.
It's certainly glaring right now that Tyreek Hill's contract isn't guaranteed through that 25 and 26 season that's on his deal. So right now, the Jaylen Waddle extension, that gives you your tandem for now. It gives you a third season of Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle. And then now it presumably sets you up where Jaylen Waddle becomes your wide receiver one in the future. So he is that number one guy in the future that then you either have to draft another guy to be the number two, or find another option that's maybe a little bit cheaper but still productive in free agency coming up. Unless something does develop where Tyreek Hill and the Tyreek Hill goes through a year of good standing, and I'll still hold out some hope. I know you're firmly on the other side of it, but other than that, then yeah, what you've been saying for a long time now seems to be more and more like the true possibility now. As Tyreek Hill goes into his 30s now, he's not guaranteed beyond 2024. And Jaylen Waddle is now secured with some big money, top five wide receiver money for now. We know CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson. These guys are going to be getting the top dollar coming up. But for right now, Jaylen Waddle is now paid like a top five wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah. What did you think of that contract?
Yeah, I mean, that's the going right now. Salary cap continues to rise astronomically in the NFL. So in a league where you're seeing more than a double-digit percentage raise in the salary cap, then that's what's going to happen. Same way quarterback contracts are going up. Yeah, quarterbacks got to throw the ball to someone, so wide receivers contracts are going to be going up a lot. So you expected him to make more than Devontae Smith did, as he recently got his deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. So yeah, I think it was right in line with what you'd expect Jaylen Waddle would go for, even as he currently has not made a Pro Bowl yet. But he could be in line to add that accolade to his resume at some point down the line.
I think also the one thing that I've talked about is Odell Beckham's on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
And if Odell does well and he stays healthy, and by what I mean by well is that he plays well on the field, okay? Because I don't really worry about him off the field. He's not really that kind of dude. His issues were like within the locker room and stupid stuff on the field. That stuff has disappeared. He has not been that guy for the last 3 seasons, so you have to go by his recent track record that he's matured. He's figured, the light went on finally. So that's pretty cool for him. So if he stays healthy and plays well, I also think this one I'm just kind of spitballing here. You're going to draft another receiver next year in the first round. You're going to let go of Tyreek. Waddle will be elevated to number 1. Instead, what you do is you bring back Odell again for another year. If he has a good year and stays healthy, he's going to feel comfortable here. You can give him a contract. You could probably bump up his number a little bit with some incentives. So that way you give him, a little love for being here for a year. And that way, your first rounder, you're not throwing him to the fire right away. You can kind of mix him in with Odell while he figures shit out. You know what I'm saying? So in a way, the Odell thing is a 1-year terrific number 3 receiver for you, but it also could be a 1-year trial to see, hey, maybe we bring him back next year for another year while we develop the kid, because again, it's a 1-year deal. It's not going to take up a ton of cap space. So it's a workable and manageable contract, which again, bro, low-hanging fruit for Chris Greer, as always.
Yeah, I can see the Dolphins looking at it that way, and I could see Odell Beckham looking at it that way.
That's
It
right.
seems like he'd be comfortable with the idea of the Dolphins being his last NFL team. Shoot, in that introductory press conference, he even had one line where he was saying, "And if this is my last year, he's kind of mentally preparing himself. Where maybe if it doesn't go that well, then." Yeah, he understands, like, this is it. So if he does have a good year, on the other hand, I could see him saying, yeah, let me stick with what worked and stay in Miami, somewhere that he wants to be, and keep running it, just run it back with this same offense. So that would be good for him. Now, let me ask you, so you have, what if you mentioned how Odell Beckham Jr. has matured now over the years, and his
Well,
problems.
look at it, dude. Cleveland,
Oh, yeah.
Baltimore, and
No, I
he
agree.
has had
Right.
nothing, bro, nothing.
Right.
So credit to him, bro.
Yeah.
Credit.
Here's the question I'm bringing up for you. You don't think maybe Tyreek Hill could have that come to Jesus moment over one season? I know a lot of his incidents have still been very recent, but you really don't feel like he can just have like that same thing where you'd feel the same place you are right now with Odell Beckham Jr. Beyond 20.
Odell has never done anything like Tyreek.
Yeah, as far as legal issues.
That's right. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't break an IG model's knee or leg or whatever. He's not attacking some old man on a pier. That again, he's lucky that his buddy stopped him the first time, and he's really lucky that 5 other people stopped him on the second time, because the rage he showed there would have gotten him in serious trouble. These are things that just don't happen to Odell and and most people actually. Odell's stuff was, bro, he was fighting with a kicking net. He got in a fight with a guy on the field. I forgot which receiver it was that he was smacking each other with. He proposed to a kicking net. He went to Miami Beach, dressed terribly on a boat. He did stupid things, immature things, but they weren't in the criminal nature. You know what I'm saying? It's like Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens was never ever a problem off the field, like a criminal or hitting women or none of that, dude. Terrell Owens is actually a really good dude overall. Now, did he have some maturity issues in the locker room, on the field, with the media? Yeah. That's where his problems were, that he created issues for himself, like Odell. Whereas Tyreek's issues are scary. They're behavioral issues that are away from football. And that is something that the team cannot control. And I think that they're at a point where this has been going on since he was in college, but he's been getting away with it constantly. And if you're the Dolphins, you have to feel like, brother, how many times are we going to play with fire and not get burned? And I'm not talking about his house. So it just, these are things that you have to look. And by the way, this is all the stuff we know. like filing for a divorce off. While that's not a football thing, it's still a mentally unstable thing. And so, he can blame whoever he wants. Nobody files for divorce by accident, bro. No, nobody filed it for him accidentally. That was his call. That was whatever happened. Whatever his deal is. If you're the Dolphins, you have to wonder, his kid is setting the house on fire. They got this crazy ass divorce, and his entourage is getting in a fight in a comedy club. He's breaking an IG model's knee. He's attacking a guy at a pier. Brother, this is not the shit that Odell was ever involved in. And so it's night and day the way I look at it. So if I'm the Dolphins, I can go get myself another receiver. Is he going to be Tyreek? No. But is he going to bring the baggage of Tyreek? Hell no. So that's unless you're the Chiefs, who clearly don't do a lot of background check on any of their wide receivers, by the way, okay? Because Xavier Worthy is already showing knuckleheaded stuff already right from the get-go, which, so that's where I look at the Tyreek situation. And I put 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 together, and I put the math together, and I say, this makes no sense. And the Dolphins are basically telling you, we're off the gravy train, and we'll do it at the end of the year. And we'll see. I haven't been wrong about any of the other ones, right? So yeah. I haven't been wrong about anything before. Christian Wilkins, I said X was getting cut 2 years before he got cut, bro. 2 years. 2 years, I said Byron will get cut next year and X will get cut in 2 years. Right on the money, bro. And I said Flo will get fired in the middle of a winning streak. And I said Flo didn't want Tua, and I knew who Flo wanted. Credit to Omar. He was the one media person that found out it was Jordan Love. I haven't been wrong on any of this shit. Any of this shit, I haven't been wrong. So I don't know, whatever, dude. If you want, that's fine. But I look at what they do, and then that tells me exactly what they're going to do. The history gives me exactly what the future is. You know what I mean? And so I said it right before you came on. Go look at who they pay and who they don't pay. They tell you right away who they value and who they don't value. And if you don't fall in the value department, you're going to find out. You're going to find out. Yeah. And they basically told Christian Wilkins, no, you're not. You're not a pass rusher. We're not paying you like that. Sorry. That's not. No, we pay you what we pay Sealer. That's what we think of you. Now, we'll give you more money because you were a first-round pick and you're our guy, but we're not giving you what you want. You know what I mean? So they were willing to go somewhere, but they weren't willing to go to Wonderland. And that's because he's not a pass rusher. Now, if Jalen Phillips comes back to form, watch him pay Jalen Phillips. Why? Pass rusher. So Chubb, pass rusher. Agba, pass rusher. He shows his cards constantly. If he doesn't believe you're not a pass rusher, I'm not paying you, bro. I'm not paying you. Yeah. That's just kind of the way it is. And so that's why, to me, this whole Tyreek thing, there's a lot of layers to it. And the Odell thing, to me, brings a lot of interest because he's matured. So now if he can actually play well and stay healthy, which is the only other issue with him has been health, he could end up being here long-term. Yeah. You're not long-term, 1 more year.
Well, yeah. Greer definitely values still the traditional premium positions, the tackles, pass rushers, wide receivers. So I know now there's sort of like a new way of thinking, maybe going back too, but like building inside out, which is why you see the Vegas Raiders paying Christian Wilkins that much money, and you see the Carolina Panthers paying a guard in Robert Hunt that much money, making him a $100 million guard. Is like a new wave of like trying to build inside out. But Greer is still very fundamentally believing in pass rushers, tackles, the wide receivers, keeping the same premium positions, cornerbacks, of course. So, yeah, I definitely see that.
And by the way, I do understand Carolina's desperation a little bit because you do have to protect your young quarterback. Yeah. And he's not a big guy, so I kind of understood them having to overpay because they needed to really shore up that line to help the kid out. Because I'm not sure if he's going to be a player or not, but I am sure he'll be a failure if you don't help him, because every quarterback's going to fail if you don't give them what they need in order to try to succeed. So that's the thing. So here's the other thing that I said: the Waddle deal tells me the Tua deal's pretty much done. It's not the other way around, that there's a delay, there's a holdout or a holdup, or no. I think they're waiting now for the X money. I think in the next week or two we'll hear the Tua deal done. I think they figured out the Tua deal within the last couple of weeks and said, okay, we know the parameters, we know where we're at, we've kind of agreed. We're just dotting the I's and crossing the T's and the rest of the bullshit. And let's start working on the Waddle deal. And they got to me, the Waddle deal tells me a positive on the Tua deal, not a negative. I actually think the Tua deal is going to be announced very shortly. What do you think about that? Am I off on that, or do you see it as a negative the other way?
Yeah, my initial thought was, well, that's really surprising because we're working up to this Tua deal, expecting maybe we hear something, and it's been the whole theme of the offseason. But then you find out all of a sudden Jaylen Waddle is the one that gets his announced first. But after giving it some thought, I mean, probably so. That I would lean more likely to that's the situation where the team knows, okay, what we have in what we need to allot for our quarterback, and then we can keep moving on into Jaylen Waddle. And I know Javon Holland, he was speaking last week like, boy, if Tua's contract isn't getting done, and mine's definitely not, his is on the back burner. So he knows where he stands there. So, I mean, I think probably more so that where we know that the Dolphins have a willingness to get Tua Tagovailoa locked in long-term. So I don't think they're moving off of that. I think probably, we do hear something pretty soon here. And also with that post-June 1 money coming up, then you got to expect some of these rookies to get their contracts signed.
Yeah.
All that stuff will get taken care of because we haven't had any of the rookie contracts officially inked yet.
Yeah, exactly. But they don't have any money right now, so
Right.
they're kind of that can be put on the back burner. Those
Exactly.
things are already slated and all that. So all that stuff is, the rookie contracts are no longer anything to really be concerned.
It's mostly just a checklist thing.
Yeah, too much. Although I will say this, that if the Tua deal does end up happening, then it really kind of frees them up for the rest of the season to then, work on the Holland deal. And man, you're set. You have taken care of that next wave, because the Phillips deal ain't going to happen till next year. They got to wait and see, for him. They've got his 5th year picked up and everything. So they're going to need to see him, come back to form before they give him, the big time money. So we can wait on the Jalen Phillips one. But if the Tua deal comes through right away here, like I think it is, that really puts them ahead of the curve on any of the concerns that people were having, that other silly narrative. They don't pay their own. Well, wait a minute. Isn't Jerome Baker their own? Didn't they pay him? And now I know they cut him, but they did pay him, right? Didn't they pay Austin Jackson? You know what I mean? So they pay their own. They paid the kicker, Sanders, right? I mean, they gave him a contract. They do pay some of their own. Do they keep everybody? No. But they're going to keep certain people. Do you fit the criteria that they need? And that's what we had just talked about. Maybe that's what you got to look at times. This front office, this is how you got to measure it. These guys, they're going to keep the ones they feel they have to keep. But it's not a thing that they don't pay their own. I mean, they've already proven that they've paid their own, but it doesn't mean you have to keep everybody. I'm sure if Eisenreich,
we're still stuck on that.
Yeah, bro. Anyway, Eisenberg. If Eisenberg kicks ass, I bet you he gets a new contract sometime this offseason. I mean, sometime during the season. You know why? They're going to be able to get a low-hanging fruit contract from his ass.
That was the same scenario as Austin Jackson just last year because he still had the questions through year 3. Actually, yeah, I just wrote about Liam Eichenberg. So, and I in the lead, I did make that comparison. Like, hey, if Austin Jackson did it just last year, maybe Liam Eichenberg can too. But also, Big O, understand that narrative is around because this was just an offseason where you lost a lot of your own in Christian Wilkins, Andrew Van Ginkel, Robert Hunt, Xavier Howard, Jerome Baker. Some of them which they did pay.
No. Xavier Howard was paid, bro.
Yeah, but you lost him this offseason too. So then it's like you eliminated.
No. But that doesn't fall under that you don't pay your own. No.
But it was just all of these.
Howard got Xavier Howard, one of their own, got paid. He got pulled and he got cut, and they should have traded him 3 years ago when I said they should have traded him right after the 10 interception season. If you want something that I disagree with the front office, that's the one I disagree with and with the front office. And it is in hindsight. I talked about it then, and I'll stay just like the Jimmy Butler thing. I would have traded Jimmy Butler last year. All right. But whatever, bro. You know, sometimes you make the right call, sometimes you don't. But X does not fall under you don't pay your own. They paid him. He got old, and you got to move on. You got to get off the gravy train at the right time. They got off the gravy train late on that one.
And that's a good point. Kind of goes full circle to the Tyreek Hill thing. Yeah, he's still very productive, still leading the league in receiving yards, but you do probably want to move off before his production starts to fall off, rather than after when it's too late. So you do
or before he breaks another IG model's leg, allegedly.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, allegedly. Yeah. So, and you still do have that tandem of him and Waddle plus Odell Beckham and Jonnu Smith for this season. And then, you go from there afterwards. So,
yeah, you got to let go of Tyreek by the end of the year before he attacks another guy on a pier. That's not allegedly. All right. What do you got going on in the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out, David?
Yeah, I did recently just write about Liam Eichenberg, like I said. Covered the Jaylen Waddle contract extension news yesterday, and I'll still be writing about Nick Needham, his transition to playing some more safety, plus still cross-training at nickel. And then we head into mandatory minicamp next week for 3 days, so I'll preview that and then get into the daily coverage of it.
Beautiful. Follow him on Twitter at @DavidFurones_ and catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Have a beautiful weekend, my brother. I appreciate you immensely.
Thank you, sir. You too.
You got it. There you go. The great David Furones, South Florida Sun Sentinel. Call my friends at Welt Rheaume, Jeff Welt, Daniel Rheaume, ass kickers, great people, great human beings on top of all of that. And when you talk to Jeff Welt, if you're a music guy, loves music, and if you're a Canes and Dolphins fan, Jeff loves it. Now, Daniel, he's a stunt pilot. So, he's cut from a different cloth, but you could tell, fearless. And that's how they are in the courtroom for you. I saw it firsthand when they crushed Progressive. So please save this number and make sure that you call my friends at Welt Rheaume, 954-966-4646. That's 954-966-4646 for Welt Rheaume.